the back of my Novakon Torus Pro. They sent me a brand new bob, breakout board. Showed up a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I've got a ton of other stuff to do in the shop, which I didn't really feel like doing, so I thought, you know, I might as well go ahead and play with this. Because next up I want to do the power drawbar and that stuff anyway, so I figured I'll get this done out of the way. So this is in an ESD, you know, static protective bag. There's no sign, no stickers, warnings, anything like that on it about it being ESD, electric static discharge. So I don't care so much about the old one coming out. I do want to be a bit more careful with the new one going in, but I don't think it's going to be a huge issue with this. If I thought it was, I'd get out my get out the wrist strap and stuff like that. So basically, let's zoom in a bit. The camera's like way over my head. Just trying to get a vantage point to where I can get in here with it being kind of tight. Okay, so as we start disconnecting this stuff here, X, Y, and Z, those are pretty easy to, and they're labeled, so those will be a piece of cake because the board will be labeled. And that's interesting. Because the way they were plugged in, yeah, I looked at them and they said XYZ, but looking at the board, yeah, these say X, Y, Z. The board, this is X. I guess I'll plug it in the way the board says to when it goes back together. Alright, this is the parallel cable from somewhere. Yeah, we'll find out. It connects to the back of the board there or whatever. So a lot of these connectors shouldn't be any big deal to remember how to put back in. You know, I'm tucking it to the top so I know it doesn't go to the bottom of the board. Plus, too, I got the video on behind me, so I'm not going to worry about that. So this says soft E-stop. This says E-stop on, or E-stop normally open. Oh, there we go. E-stop normally open is on the board. Duh. Okay, and then E-stop normally closed. And that's what it says there. Okay, so the new board appears to be pretty much the same. I just want to kind of double check it as I'm taking it out though. It's just like those three. I would have plugged them right back in without even paying attention to what the board said. 12 volt output, power on. Okay, there's another one over here in this corner. And what does that one say? Coolant. And that says pump. Okay. That's just the power coming from the power supply up there, so not too worried about that. So, okay, so we can go ahead and unplug those. They were plugged in correctly here, so it's not okay. Let's get the two little wires out of here. Okay, the white one goes to ground, and the red one goes to a 5 volt. Okay. Let's oh, interesting. Oh, that's the smooth stepper, isn't it? As I said, I'm not extremely worried about ESD with this, but as a precaution, if you do have to worry about it and you don't have a strap, a good thing is to try to keep yourself grounded. Any of the shielding on the motherboard here is going to be grounded, so you can come up and just touch any of that. You don't really want to touch anything else on the board, because if you do have a static charge, you don't want to damage the board. So you can also, when you pull the board out, I'm looking through the bag there and I'm just grabbing the corner of it there. Okay. You know, you can handle the board by the edge. If it was extremely sensitive to ESD, you know, I should have a wrist strap on, stuff like that. But, you know, the other precautions is at least handle it by the edges. So we'll go ahead and so it's not a heavy board. I was able to line up the other holes and just snug it into place there. So I don't know how well it'll show up in the video. Good to take a peek at it, because right here, this little daughter board, nothing plugs into it right now, but that pin was bent over to where it almost touched the other one. Okay, and I've got my hand down here touching ground too, so let's start, let's put the other couple of screws in. I wanted to make sure that those pins weren't touching before I got there. It was bouncing around in the box. It got bent a little bit. So we're going to take our red. I'm going to put it into the 5 volt here. Okay. These little precision screwdrivers, this is pretty cool. HD 74501T Husky. I think that's probably carried at Home Depot. Maybe. I'm not real sure. You pop the top off here and it's got room for 3 other bits. So this is the biggest. And it's definitely got some other smaller ones. Okay, that's it for those 2 connections. The other ones that are most in the way are these. AZXY. Okay, so it's in the same orientation as before. So there's A. This is Z, then X, then Y. Alright, we got our little power cord here. Let's lift all that up a little bit and get the parallel cable plugged back in. Alright, I'm going to leave the power one there for just a little bit. Okay, so Y sensor. I think I'm going to plug these in the way they're labeled. I think that's probably my best bet there. Okay, then I had this one come over. That is the normally open. That's the normally open. And this one went here. Okay, I don't have any other... Oh, I got this cable. This is power on. The other one was coolant. So here's our 12 volt. Oh yeah, that one goes down and turns the relay on. Okay. So it says output on the board. I was thinking that was power coming into the board. That's not power coming into the board. This is power coming into the board. So that's the 12 volts that goes out to the relay to turn the unit on. Okay. Now, there we go. I didn't want to have to push too hard on the board without supporting it from the backside a little bit. Alright, I'm adding this to the Bob install video. See that the jumper right there at the top of the shadow? Okay, I'll zoom in here a little more. See, that is on pin 2 enable. Okay, it jumpers the enable in the middle and the pin 2. It wasn't on the board when I got it, and I put it in just before I put the drawbar in. So when I got the drawbar all installed, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get the spindle to turn on. Okay, so this is the old Bob, and it would sit in there like this. So there's the same jumper. Okay, the one thing I wanted to this connector flips upside down, okay? But the jumper still stays on pin 2. So it's still there's still enable in pin 2. I noticed when I did it that the wires here switched around. And I was like, oh crap, is that going to change the pin 1 or 2? But I did check the runs on the circuit board. And everything lines up so that it is still pin 2 enable. So I just simply took the jumper off of this board, the old Bob, and moved it over to that one, and then I got my spindle back. So that is something to take note of when you're if you're putting the new Bob in yourself, to look for that jumper. If you don't have that jumper, you're not going to get your spindle. Everything else worked just fine, and it actually jogged with the power drawbar. Yeah, I just couldn't get it to turn the spindle from Mach. Anyway,